You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. We'll get to a couple. We had our Mexican bender guy check back in. Remember him, Kyle?
Oh, how can I forget?
The guy that spent a ton of money. He also, I kind of glossed over it because he brought it up in a response email because he heard it and his buddies heard us talking about him. And he was like, maybe now I don't need to spend $5,000 a night. But then he also said something about, I think he got into the pharmaceuticals and he had a kind of a bad experience with it. So he said the email helped and his buddies were all psyched to hear it, but he did want to clear up something for the audience that I think the audience does want to hear, is that apparently his father, although loaded, is really young. So apparently his dad parties too. I'm just kidding. So his dad had him at a very young age. So he was like, whatever decisions I make, like whatever that money's coming, it's not like coming any day now because I'll be so much older that it won't really matter. He also made some adjustments to his millionaire status because he said after he now calls himself a pre-tax millionaire. So I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, the dude sounded like he really wanted help because then he even said he went to his friends and said, hey, get me back on track here. So I don't know. Either he's going to stay wild for a little while, but I think at the very least he realizes now after hearing the email that he can be wild for a much lower cost. He put it around $800 a night, which still seems it still seems high. I know the bottle service stuff, I remember The Sopranos. Remember that Sopranos episode where AJ blew all the money on bottle service?
Yes.
And they kept stiffing him with the bill. And then his parents were yelling at him. And he was like, you guys have no idea how expensive bottle service is.
What a fucking show.
I know. I watched it again recently, and I wasn't just going start to finish, but I was checking out some episodes. And AJ was so perfect as the shithead teenage angst guy.
Well, that's who he really was too. If you listen to any of those interviews that he did about like coming off Sopranos, it was like he was also AJ off of Sopranos, and he's like so honest about his stories. And you probably would never want to sit through an hour of it, but just like, yeah, that's you.
Yeah, I've liked him in everything I've heard him doing. So, I got to tell you, like that's kind of what it reminded me. All right, so we don't need to recap all of that, but I think there's guys. It's kind of like what we talk about on the podcast. When a guy will email in and he's thinking, these three girls I'm juggling, they're all smoke shows. I'm pulling down six figures. How do I possibly get out of bed every day? And then, you get the rest of the audience being like, I would cut off a fucking finger to have that.
I ride on the back of a dump truck at 4 a.m. Right. Fuck you, guy.
Wife left me for my brother, and I can't eat red meat anymore because of gout. But yeah, hopefully the guy can juggle those three girls with his beach condo. So, all right, we got this one actually spoke to me here. I don't know how deep I want to go with my own real estate ventures, both good and bad, but I'm worried. This email worried me. Let me just put it that way, because it says sports radio host and newly married. Love the pod. Been listening going back to the SVP days. My dad may be a bigger fan of yours than me, though. Well, that would make sense because when I started with Scott, you were probably 10. So, some of those jokes at 10 you probably weren't getting. I will save all that because obviously I'm listening. I'm a fan. I'm also, since married, that's just what he's saying. Also, since I am married, I don't need to flex my body stats for all the women out there. Age may be important. So, yeah, again, 23. Insight on where my life is right now. I like the way this guy sets up sentences. Been married a few months and started a new job at the end of the summer out of college, hosting a 3-hour morning sports show in a top 125 radio market. Okay, so my guess is that it's closer to 125. I just always think that's kind of interesting. Be like, yeah, I'm in a top 100 market. And you're like, oh, so you're in market 98. So you're like you should be, by the way. Starting out, very few of us ever get the chance to. I was lucky at 27 to even be in Boston. So, that was back then. That shit was hard. So good for you. All right, you're starting at the bottom. It's a long grind. Good luck. After the show ends, I have to go make sales. Obviously, that is not surprising. You're working at a small radio station. I'm improving that aspect, but I still do not love it by any means. Hey, look, you don't like sales. You want to be on the air. You're on the air and you're doing both. That's what I did in the beginning, too. Ultimate goal is to latch on to be able to do play-by-play for a baseball team long term. My professional life plays into my question in regards to my wife really wanting to buy a house soon. Our lease is up in the fall at the apartment we've been living in, and I am open to buying a house. I do think it's a great investment. I know that financially we can handle it already. Today, household income is as close to 90,000. A lot of that is attributed to her job with a large international corporation that oversees a ton of business. She also wants to strike while the iron is hot and the interest rates and everything else. I'm on board with looking for a house, but the wrinkle is I'm not sure how on board I should be at this point because of uncertainties that I have about my job. Not because of my radio ability or standing with the company. I think that is at least good, but I don't overly enjoy my coworkers, political extremes where I am pretty down the middle, and just flat out don't care a ton about politics. The sales side of things, and wonder how long I'll actually be in the area. If an opportunity came up to take a big role at a station I had worked at during college came open, I co-hosted a sports show and other sports obligations in college town. I would love to jump at the opportunity. I may have to just suck it up right now, though, and fight on for a few years here to give my wife a fair chance at her job first. The question is, should we continue the process of searching for a house, or should I sit down and have a conversation where there's some of these reservations about looking for a house? Also, any professional advice you may have, some of the stuff mixed in there would also be appreciated and respected. I'll be quick on the last part. Look, I know the sales part sucks. It's not what you wanted to do, but that part got you on the air. And that's that in itself is a lot. So you should feel really good about that accomplishment. You're on the air, you're hosting stuff, and hopefully you're near any kind of baseball play-by-play. You probably don't want to do high school play-by-play or community college or whatever's going on. Get the reps. Play-by-play is reps. All of this is reps, but especially baseball play-by-play. On baseball play-by-play, let baseball breathe. I did not let it breathe. Let the action kind of happen. Don't talk the whole fucking time. I did that. It was wrong. I talked way too much because I was, insecure about the fact I was on the air doing play-by-play for AA Red Sox, and I had never called a game doing anything. All right. So there you go. The more concerning thing here is the house. It doesn't make any fucking sense for you to buy a house. None. But your wife's probably not thinking that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I can't tell you. I'm adamant about this. Don't buy a house. You're in an industry where you're probably going to change your job, hopefully, 3 or 4 times over the next decade, all right, to get to where you want to go. So if you're in a market that's top 125 radio market, and that means, like, let's be honest here. So we're probably looking at a market that's outside of the top 100. Why do you want to own a house in one of those markets to begin with? It'd be one thing if you were living somewhere where you say, hey, you know what, rent's a waste of money. I want to get in the game. And even if I buy this place, but I move, I have the flexibility of renting it out, maybe making some money. The way we set up the mortgage, we have principal being paid. Although in the beginning of any kind of mortgage, depending on what you look at, and there's a million different products, so I don't want to hear from the mortgage guys on this. But generally, for what you're going to get approved for that household income and the numbers that you're looking at, you're not going to be paying a ton of principal down in the first third of the mortgage anyway. I just sold a house in Connecticut finally. That I couldn't sell forever because it was basically way below what I had bought it for 8 years ago because property taxes were jacked way up in the state because the state's all fucked up, and it ruined, people saving their whole lives for the down payment, and all of a sudden on paper that's all magically gone because the property tax have driven down the prices. And again, not to be tax guy here, but these are real grown-up things that you have to worry about. So I finally was able to sell something, and you add up all the numbers 8 years later of having a tenant and what you put in and principal versus interest. And you go, wait, so I paid this off for like 8 years and this is the check that I'm getting back, which isn't even that much more considering I sold it kind of for what I bought it 8 years ago. I mean, it ended up being a bad investment. I'm not asking for anybody to cry for me. I'm simply telling you that the idea of home ownership is amazing. But there are a bunch of factors that you have to think of here. And unfortunately, it sounds like your wife just wants a house. I don't know what town it is, like I said, but it doesn't sound like it's a town where real estate's fucking booming. You're not going to want to go back and visit. And you should desperately want the flexibility. Now, look, if she says, hey, my job here is great and this is where I work and that's it, this email scares me, man, is my point, because it sounds like you guys are on 2 completely different pages. You are in an industry where you need the ability to move and to do the down payment, to go through the mortgage process and all the paperwork that sucks, and you thinking you're done, and then the place calls again, and then they call again, and then it's like, oh, this might not happen, and then it magically happens. To go through all of that when you could in a year be getting an offer to go somewhere else, and you don't even want to be there. Like if there was another version of it, it's like, hey, I like her job, and if I was here 10 years, then fine. But the home ownership thing is great. And then as far as the rates, like, yeah, the rates are really low, but they're not going to, again, I don't want to be more mortgage rate predictor guy here, but they're obscenely low. And on your purchase price, a quarter of a point here, a quarter of a point there, I don't know that it's going to, massively impact what your payment is. So the easier part of this is you guys got to get on the same page, because your job at this stage at 23, even if you could afford the home, even if it was in a place that you kind of liked, really what I think you need is the freedom to leave. You need the freedom of, hey, this is the lease and I'm up and I can renew it, move somewhere else, or, bounce. So, yeah, try to get on the same page with her first, because if she just wants the house and stuff, I don't know that you guys have talked this out enough.
Could rent a house. My mom did that for years, and the guy was cool enough when she decided she wanted to buy it that he was like, all right, well, we'll knock some off the price because you've been renting it all this time anyway.
I hear a lot of people say they hope that they're going to get that kind of hookup, and I would say it almost never works. So congrats to your mom for pulling that one off. But there are so many guys that I've known that have rented some sweet spot, and they're like, I've talked to the guy that owns it. Maybe you figure out like no, because that would mean that the 2 years you were paying my mortgage, that you now want that all to count towards a down payment. So that means for those 2 years, then I actually didn't have anybody paying off my mortgage, because now we're just moving the numbers around and I've lost it on the sale price. Unless, of course, the owner, the appraisal has gone down in the 2 years you've been renting it or something like that. But look, I wanted to have a house like everybody else did. And I couldn't get one. And looking back on it in those early years, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, not really owning a place that wasn't easy to move on from. I did buy like a condo thing, but it was super, super temporary, and it was located enough in Boston that I knew that I could get out whenever I needed to. But I don't know how many people are listening to this going, yes, this makes a ton of sense. Or if I would think more people are going, yep, he knows what he's talking about. I would hope so. Kyle, how did you feel about that?
Again, I got no thoughts. I've never even come close to thinking about buying a house, especially in this town. I think if I was back home, I'd be like, well, I'm getting up there. Maybe I could start thinking about not wasting money on rent. But this town, it's like a cottage is like 1.2 million. And it's discouraging.
Yeah, I feel bad for the younger generation on this, on some of these cities. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I just don't. I don't know how you get in. I mean, it's brutal. It's brutal, especially with the college debt part of it. That's the amount of debt that I don't know, society's the right word or whatever. The amount of debt that they seem okay with handing down to young people it's a joke. So it sucks. All right, here we go. Love the show, SVP days. Also the Kyle commentary as well. He just wanted to let you know regarding Dune. The original movie is trash, but the books are phenomenal. Our guy's Luke. Your guy is named Luke. That's his fake name.
Okay.
Said the first 3 books are phenomenal. I don't see you as a guy that's going to just hunker down and read 1,000 pages of Dune, though, Kyle.
Probably not. I've been getting into the audiobook game. It's basically like a podcast for me at this point. So, you never know. I got that George Washington book. I think it was Chernow. Kind of a mistake.
You did get it.
I paid like, I don't know. It was like more than the book even would cost to get it on tape. And holy shit, it's long. And the guy who reads it is not exciting, which, I mean, what would you expect? But yeah, maybe doing on tape. I'll do. I don't know.
Okay. But I'll this is the rule with the Chernow books. You got to get through the first 150, 200 pages. And then I know that sounds ridiculous, but he just wants to set everything up. He wants to set up the family history.
Yeah, I'm still on Washington's height and his shoulders and fucking Christ.
What's that?
Washington's height and his shoulders, and he was a broad man, and he had brothers here, and he's got cousins there, and holy shit. So I don't know.
He was a big dude. Yeah, there's something about Washington's chest. He's a real chesty guy. He wasn't as tall as everybody made him out to be because the original measurement they did with his feet, they were broken down because of the way he was put in the coffin. So
we'll get to the
Chernow
real
sets the
story
record
stuff
straight.
after 100 pages, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, but just him rallying the troops and
Like not there. I'm not there yet. Like I can't.
Yeah. No, that starts. It's just Valley Forge, all that kind of stuff. It's incredible. And then, but he was a huge flirt, big spender. But we've been over it.
Yeah, I know.
Huge flirt, loved. But I don't think he screwed around the way like growing up. I used to always hear jokes about how he was just like a complete. He's like the first Kennedy, but that's just not the case. I just think he liked ladies being in the mix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's kind of like we used to. Yeah, when we had after hours deals back in the day, bartending, it wasn't that you were dating any of the girls hanging out later. We just knew it was way more fun when they were there, even if there was nothing. You know what I mean? And that's how Washington was. He was like, if he had late nights as his dive bar in the '90s, he would have been like, hey, there's no girls hanging out. Like, I don't want to just hang out and talk about the Red Sox.
Conversations are way less dumb when there's girls there. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. But he would constantly be like dancing with other people. He was writing letters to this family friend's wife, which I think were like, that was essentially having an affair, just writing a letter via carrier once every 6 months. And I mean, the language is unbelievable. He'd be like, it is often I think of the thoughts of you, and dare I say, I don't want to think them, but yet I still do. And it just, maybe I should have done the audiobook of it.
Maybe I'll get back in. Maybe I'll try it again. I'm running through a Michael Crichton Pirates book right now. So,
well, if you get a pirate book distracting you, then okay. So anyway, back to Dune. He goes, he's really excited. He reread all the Dune books. I can't believe we're still on this. It's my fault. Apologies to everybody. The putting off the release until the pandemic is done. He loves that Kyle is also a space guy. Me too. I used to be a rocket scientist, did some astronaut training. Now I'm an advisor for NASA.
Fuck yeah.
Also big on Star Wars and Hitchhiker's Guide. Oh, he dropped a handle for you, Kyle, for you to be able to follow him later on.
All right, get that to me later.
Yeah, but see, the problem is now people are going to look at yours and see who you followed, and then they're going to find out this NASA guy.
Maybe I can't do it.
Yeah. So here's the guy's dilemma. We have a very close group of 10 dudes going on 7-8 years now. The group composition is 5 core guys. I'm verifiably in the core. So we're talking to a core guy here.
Okay.
3 dudes that are awesome but not around as much, and 2 dudes that are around a bunch but definitely less awesome. Let's call them in the latter group. One of them. So all fake names here. Let's call that guy Slim. Yeah, there's not a lot of guys running around named Slim, so that does seem like a fake name. Slim also has the disadvantage of not doing well with the ladies. Event number 1, 2015, 20-person camping trip outside of Louisiana. No, I think it's Los Angeles. And Slim brought a girl he recently met. Let's call her Kim. They shared a tent. It was still obvious they weren't hooking up because she's too hot for him. It was not really hanging out with him on the trip. Fast forward a week, and she reaches out to me, which led us to hanging out, then dating for 6 months. Okay. Slim, certifiably pissed, even though the girl and I both had one-on-one chats with him to clear the air very early on. Event number 2. At a pregame I was hosting in 2017, it was Deja Vu. Let's call her Kat this time. Something about the K's. The next weekend, Kat and I meet up for drinks and ended up dating for 10 months. Slim, again, certifiably pissed, even though I was very honest with him right after my first date with Kat because we had a good thing going. Of course, it's a running joke that Slim should never bring girls around me, but even now he's still buttered and pissy sometimes.
Jesus.
In both situations, I was relatively distant in the first hangout. For example, I never had malicious sniping intentions. The girl made the first move. I talked with I think he mixes this up and drops the guy's name here, but I think he's referencing Slim here again. I talked with Slim early on. Sure, the evidence doesn't look great, even though Slim never had a chance with either of them. But how wrong am I here for going through with 2 really good dating experiences? I would stop doing it to him. Would be maybe the first thing I would think of. I mean, I get it, but if anybody's ever been the third guy where she doesn't like you and she likes your friend, it still sucks. It still sucks to be like, well, hey, she never really liked you anyway. I mean, that sucks to hear. Nobody wants to hear that. And if you're a core guy, then it sounds like he probably likes you more than he likes, or you like him, because you're already dismissing him as saying he's outside of the core group, right? So if it's 10 guys, he's ranked 9 or 10 out of this group based on what you're saying. So I don't know that really anybody's wrong. I just think it's a shitty thing to keep doing to this guy that you're still close enough with that you're going on trips with. So, I mean, you can't meet any women on your own. Sounds like you probably could. If you show up to these things and all of a sudden they like you. So I'm not even like giving you a hard time about it. And yeah, we could sit there and be real adult and say, hey, this woman doesn't like him. She likes me. But you don't want to keep doing it to him, right? I don't think that that's wrong, because again, every guy has their group, and everybody kind of fits their roles. And if you're always the guy that's ending up with the girl that the other guy brings to the group, then you don't, I mean, do you want to be that guy? I don't think you want to be that guy. So I think what you're asking here is for a ruling, and I don't think you've necessarily done anything wrong, but I think it's kind of a bad habit to have. Unless, I mean, does it happen with other guys? Do you do it to any of your other friends? I don't know that answer. But if you do it then maybe it is about you. Or maybe you just look at Slim and you're like, that guy's pathetic, and why would I let him get in the way of me dating here? But it's just kind of a bad trend. And yeah, this guy hates your guts. And when he explains it, I'm sure people hear his version of events and go, well, that kind of sucks. Why does that guy keep doing that? So I think the fact that you even wrote in about it to be like, hey, what's going on? You realize something's probably a little off. But again, I'm not like on your case. I don't think you're a bad guy, but I don't know that you would want to keep doing that to somebody. If I were him, I wouldn't want to be your friend. Like, who I wouldn't go camping with if I'm Slim? You. Hit us up, lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. Please subscribe. And we will be back on Friday.